Oh man, I can't wait. I cannot wait for tonight's game to see us get absolutely demolished by NC State. That's going to be like one of the most fun. It's going to be so much fun watching us get destroyed by NC State. Um like it's just plain and simple, we're absolutely terrible. Um and the fact that I even had hope after that North Carolina game, they fooled me. Florida State fooled me. I really did think. I really did think that we were going to make some improvements and we were going to get better after that win over North Carolina. Well, ever since that game, we have gotten blown out 48-16 by Louisville and gotten blown out 41-14 by Pittsburgh. So, I basically lost all hope and optimism for the season. So I'm ready to just like get blown out by NC State. Do I want that to happen? No. Is it going to happen? Yes. So I might as well just get used to it. Uh, People complain about being like a Georgia fan. But what if you're a Florida State or a Texas fan, knowing what you used to be, winning championships, a perennial powerhouse, to well at least even Texas is doing decent. Florida State's just been doing terrible for forever now. Just terrible. So yeah, this should be a fun game to watch. Um, it's it's not gonna end well, I'm assuming. Um, And it's just so annoying because every single, day, being an FSU fan, you just hope for the best. You hope that the team is gonna improve. You just cheer your heart out for the team. And every single week, week after week, season after season, it's just like terrible. What's up, IC Productions? Just streaming right now, ready for Florida State to get absolutely demolished. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So, it's just honestly depressing. They canceled the Ohio State game. I didn't know that. Just gonna check in on some college football scores right now. So let's see what's going on. USC struggling with Arizona. Notre Dame with a small lead over Boston College. Northwestern and Purdue just started playing now. Um, so I think it's going to be interesting to see some of these night games. The Michigan Wisconsin game. I think this is the game where we're going to see if Wisconsin is legit or not. It's too bad that they canceled that Ohio State game. Although, I mean, I'm sure once they reschedule it, Ohio State's going to win by like 40 points. But your next game is against Indiana, and Indiana's honestly pretty good. Indiana's a sneaky good opponent, and that honestly might be the game of the week. It's going to be top 10 matchup, Ohio State and Indiana. Indiana just beat the brakes off of Michigan State. So Indiana's a pretty good team. So the Big Ten East actually might come down to the Indiana Ohio State game, because Ohio State's got to play Maryland, Wisconsin, then Purdue. So I think really that tough. And then Indiana's after Ohio State, they're gonna play Maryland, Wisconsin, and Purdue. So they'll probably so assuming that they lose to Ohio State, because I think they're gonna lose, they'll probably lose. I think that they're going to lose to Ohio State, and then they're gonna beat Maryland. I don't know how Wisconsin is, so I'm not gonna call that one yet. It depends on how Wisconsin plays tonight, and then I think they're gonna beat Purdue, but even though Purdue's not that bad, so yeah. I'm just this isn't gonna be fun watching the Florida State NC State game. It's exhausting sometimes. I mean, and a lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, you can just not watch the game." Well, that's the thing. Once you become a fan, you just sort of become attached to the team, and you can't not watch the game. And the thing that's the most annoying is how all of our rivals are out here, winning all their games in the top 10 and doing just like actually having some of their best years, and here we are stinking it up, 2-5 record, have looked terrible in pretty much every game we have played outside of the Notre Dame, North Carolina, Nat, and Jacksonville State game. Those were the only times where I could actually watch the highlights and not cringe or like just look at it and just notice how awful it is, because that's how bad Florida State is, and that's what it comes down to. So here, yep. I know that the game is like 2 hours from now, but I might as well just like look at some of the the afternoon game scores. Looks like Notre Dame has just scored at the end of the half, so it's a 15-point game now. So I think Notre Dame is in pretty good position to make it to the championship game. All Notre Dame has to do really is, yeah, I think Notre Dame's gonna make it. Well, actually, who would make it, because I don't know if they're doing standings or not. No, they're not doing standings this year. So right now, Miami's not gonna make it because, oh, you're depressed. I know, Luke's Productions. I am also depressed. That West Virginia game must have been terrible. What was the score? 24-6. Yeah, that was bad. Um. Uh. I'm just like, and also kind of annoyed that Miami just somehow scrapes by with these struggle wins against these like teams obviously better than Florida State, but like Miami barely gets past all of these teams. They just beat Virginia Tech by 1 point, and they're annoying fans. I'm sorry for the actual like normal Miami fans who are not delusional every year, who are like, oh, Miami's back, a bunch of this stuff. So yeah, I'm just ready for us to get like absolutely destroyed by NC State. I don't know how bad the score is gonna be, but it's gonna be bad. That's all I know. I'm gonna predict that 54 to like 6 or something. That's gonna be the margin that Florida State loses by. And if somehow we make this close, and in order for us to like actually have a shot at winning this game, which I don't know how, but we may have a shot somehow if maybe Chuba Purdy is like the future. And maybe he's like gonna be, this savior that gets us the job done. But he hasn't looked that great in his only 2 games that he's played. He went 0 for 9 in his first game, and he threw an interception for a touchdown in his last game. Now I'm not gonna get too mad at him because our wide receivers couldn't catch, and he's running for his life about every single play. So I'm not gonna get too mad at Chuba Purdy. But like, it's crazy because now now what is it? You've got now Tamarian Terry completely left the team. He's gone. James Blackman transferred. Now James Blackman wasn't gonna play anymore. Now that he's a senior, he was not gonna play. But it just sucks to see these guys leave because it's just like, because these guys were big contributors like in 2018 and back in 2019. But maybe this is what we need. A rebuild. This is what we need to rebuild Florida State. I don't know. But anything at this point, because Florida State is a complete joke. Yeah, it does feel bad. Well, I mean, at least you guys are like a top 3 team. So, yeah, I know it must suck getting your game canceled, but at least you don't have to watch the thing known as FSU football on a weekly basis. The only thing I can look forward to is the Dolphins because they're for once actually looking decent. So there's that. How are the games? I'm just going to look at them from like ESPN because for some reason I don't see all, it doesn't show me all the scores from Google, so I'm just gonna like go on ESPN and look at any games that might be surprising to me. So let's go ahead and go into ESPN if this thing wants to work or if it doesn't want to work, which it probably won't work. I feel like one day, like maybe in a couple of years, Florida State can at least look decent again against top competition, and we can be a top 25 team. At this point, I don't even know what I'd want. Obviously, I want to get back to the level that we were at like 6, 7 years ago, winning a national championship, winning 11 plus games a year. That was great. It was great. We were beating Miami. We were beating all of our rivals. It was just nice to beat up on our rivals, and now we're getting beat up by literally all of our rivals, and I mean all of our rivals. It's not even funny the amount of teams we just lose and 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 get blown out. Florida has blown us out in the past two meetings. Miami has blown us out in the past two meetings. Heck, Clemson has blown us out in the past two meetings as well. 2017 wasn't exactly a blowout. We actually kept it competitive for a little bit. Yeah, I think Florida State in 2017, we weren't that bad. We just had a couple of games that, we were just not doing very good. But I think that Florida State team wasn't terrible, and it just got worse every single year after that 2017 season. And it just hurts a lot because I actually thought that in 2018 we would go back to, winning 10 games, doing this because, we were doing in 2017 we had lost our starting quarterback, and I thought that, DeAndre Francois would come in and, lead us to the promised land. He would just do better than what we had in 2017, but that was not the case. We did way worse. Are we the definition? I don't think we're the definition of inconsistent. We just suck. We had one fluke game, and we got our hopes up, and now we suck again. I think the definition of inconsistent would be North Carolina. North Carolina has to be one of the most inconsistent teams I've ever seen. One week they go out and blow a team out by 20 points, and then you have weeks where they lose to bottom ACC competition like Florida State and Virginia, or they struggle with teams like Wake Forest. Although Wake Forest isn't a terrible team, they did beat Virginia Tech, and they were 4-2 when North Carolina played them, but they weren't a great team. So yeah. So I think North Carolina is the definition of inconsistent. The Florida State's just the definition of fluky. I don't know. Like, it was such a fluke game. Yeah, no, UNC has a bad defense. You're pretty bad if you give up 53. How many points did they give up to Wake? It was a lot of points. Whatever they gave up to Wake Forest was a lot. I think they gave up 53 points. I could be wrong. Yeah, they gave up 53 points to Wake Forest. I think that North Carolina is going to get ranked again because they don't have a terrible record. They have a 6-2 record. They're just super inconsistent. They're like the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde of college football. Yeah, they gave up 53 points to Wake Forest. It's ridiculous. I don't even act well. I mean, if there's one ACC team that would give up 53 points to Wake, it's Florida State. Yeah, 44 to Virginia. 31 FSU, but I mean that was just because we decided to stop scoring after the first half. That first half against North Carolina was the flukiest thing I have ever seen. It was like the flukiest thing I have ever seen. Am I glad I got it on stream? Yeah, but it was so fluky. It was ridiculous. Like, that first half was ridiculously fluky. And it actually made Florida State look like a super good team. Blowing out, going on to blow out North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina was not as good as their top five as their top five ranking would indicate, but North Carolina is still a decent team. So, for us to go out and do that, I really got my hopes up. And then, we go out in the second half and play a bad second half. We almost choked the game away, and I was really worried we were going to do it because that's just what FSU did. So I was relieved when they didn't, and then, yeah, the Pac-12 isn't doing a whole lot. I think it's just because the Pac-12 really doesn't have a whole lot of competition anymore. It's just Oregon and nobody else. Like 5 years ago, Oregon 5 years ago, Stanford, USC, or heck, no. A better example would be 4 years ago. Stanford, Washington, USC, Colorado, Washington State. All these teams were pretty good back in 2016. I think they won more than 8 games. And they were on contention this year. So the thing is with this year is that it's just like Oregon and nobody else. Stanford has completely fallen off a cliff. I actually kind of like rooted for Stanford, not really as like an actual fan, but just sort of like I kind of like root for Stanford. Okay, because I don't know, I just root for Stanford. And they have really fallen off, or they've just been super inconsistent. Like one year, they went 11-2. They almost made the playoffs. If they had just won like one more game, they would have had a shot of making the playoffs. They blew out Iowa 45-16 in the Rose Bowl. So there's that. So it's not like Stanford has always been bad. And then 2016 they fell off a little bit, but still had a 10-win season. 2017 Stanford had a 9-win season. 2018 they kept falling off, but I think they still had a 9-win season. Then 2019 was the real like fall off. They only won 4 games and completely missed the bowl game. And their kicker is not great. Let's just put it that way. Their kicker is not great. Am I excited? I am excited for college basketball because Florida State actually has a good basketball team. What we won the ACC last year. Well, of course, not with the tournament, but we were actually good. We're ranked in the college basketball poll. I'm gonna come out and do like a prediction video, but I'll go ahead and do this on stream right now because I'm too lazy to record and edit right now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and look at some of our games for basketball. So I'm gonna go ahead and look at that. And to be honest, I really haven't watched college basketball. I've watched the NBA, but I think I'm gonna get into it. And now that I know FSU is actually good in basketball, I think I'll watch some games. So we got Indiana, Georgia Tech, Duke, Pittsburgh, North Carolina, Louisville, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, Virginia, Florida State, North Carolina, and Notre Dame. I mean Virginia Tech. My bad, Virginia Tech again. So I think that we can win most of those games. The only games that I think we're gonna lose is probably gonna be like one game to Duke, maybe a game to North Carolina, a game to Virginia. We might get upset by like Louisville or Clemson. So I think we could win all but like 4 or 5 of our games because we're just good at basketball. And I think we could have made a push last year, and because we had the best record. But what was really shocking to me was how bad North Carolina did in 2019, because obviously North Carolina is known for being a basketball school. So the fact that they just did as terrible as they did last year and finished with the worst, tied for the worst record in the ACC, was really just shocking to me that they managed to do that. But here we are. Um, but I'm not really a huge like fan of college basketball. I normally watch like the NBA. My favorite team is the Heat, as you can see from my profile picture. And yeah, the NBA draft is in four. I actually didn't know the NBA draft was in 4 days. Um, who are the Heat even like picking in the first round? I don't know, because obviously we did really good, so I doubt we got like a high draft pick. But I don't think we really need to. If we could like try to get Giannis or something, that would be nice. Anyways, remember this is a live college football hangout, so let's check up on the games again. Let's see how we are doing with these games. So Northwestern is beating Purdue now. Hasn't been a whole lot of excitement for these games, but it is what it is. I'm gonna go back to like my ESPN app. Oh, you're a Cavs fan? Oof. Oh. Oh. Yeah, your Cavaliers are not great. No offense, but the Cavaliers are not very good. And let's be real, LeBron James is literally just like the Cavaliers. He was the entirety of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and now he's gone. The Cavaliers have been terrible since. So okay, where are the Heat picking? Um, we're picking 20th. Maybe we could get a steal because we got Bam Adebayo with the 14th pick, so maybe we could get a steal in the 20th pick, and we got Tyler Hero with the 13th pick, and they're both looking like they could be future stars. Well, Bam's already a star, but he's gonna be a superstar, I think. Tyler Hero isn't a star yet, but I think he could be one. Yeah, it's not that exciting of a week for college football. I don't think there's been any real upsets. I mean, Virginia Tech almost pulled it off. Keyword almost. But Miami once again gets another close win. I don't understand how Miami continues to just get these super close wins over these ACC opponents. But hey, they're doing it. A win is a win. What can I say? Um, Maybe we'll see some more upsets tonight. But I feel like with a bunch of these games getting canceled, it's just not as exciting. But what I am excited for is tomorrow for sure, because Dolphins have a big game coming up against the Chargers. If we can win that game, we'll be 6-3 with a pretty easy schedule of 3 games remaining in our like 4 game stretch, and then we'll be 9-3 hopefully if we can win 4 games. and we'll be in a pretty good position to make the playoffs. And I've only seen the Dolphins make the playoffs one time in my entire existence. Um, yeah, I don't think the Bengals have a chance against the Steelers. Yeah, the Steelers like to play down to the competition, but I'm pretty sure that the Bengals have won like the last 10. I mean, the Steelers have won the last 10 out of 10 meetings, so they've won like 10 in a row against the Bengals. So I really don't think the Bengals are gonna win this game. They might put up a fight though because the Steelers are notorious for playing down to their competition. Um, yeah. So what I think the teams that have been the most surprising in college football has definitely been Indiana. Indiana has surprised me, and because Indiana has really never been this good. They've always been like a decent team, but they've never been a really good team. And now Indiana is actually relevant and pretty good. So, and you guys are going to have to play Indiana next week. So that if you guys lose that game, I don't know, if you guys somehow lose to Indiana, then Indiana might have a good shot of winning the East as long as they beat Wisconsin. Well, even if they lose to Wisconsin, it wouldn't matter um because they still beat you, but that's assuming that they somehow do beat you. Yeah, I know Ohio State plays Indiana next week. It's just it's nerve-wracking cuz Indiana is actually a pretty decent team. By decent I mean they're very good. They are legit. Indiana is legit. Now I think Ohio State's schedule is very favorable. They really don't have a lot of tough games remaining. Well, they have Wisconsin and Indiana, and that's it. One, if they can beat Wisconsin and Indiana, then Ohio State is going to go ahead and go back to the championship game. If they do, that's assuming if they win. Now, if they drop one of those games, then that's not good. Especially if they drop the Indiana game, because Wisconsin is in the West. Oh yeah, no, Michigan's terrible. Michigan is a joke. I can't make too much fun of them, but like just like for coming from an unbiased standpoint and really looking at it, Michigan is a joke. Michigan is a joke. And they get hyped up every single year. Every single year, Michigan. Oh man, Michigan. Oh yeah, Michigan's gonna do it. And it's just like, can you skip to the part where they lose by 40 to Ohio State? Because they do it every year. I mean, it's not even surprising. And I want them to win at one point because it's just like I feel bad for Michigan. They just keep losing every year. Sometimes they lose heartbreakingly. They have a chance to win and they blow it, and it's ridiculous because like for example in 2018 they had so much hype. They were going on this revenge tour. They were like ranked fourth in the country, and then they come out and get destroyed by Ohio State because they just cannot beat Ohio State. So I'm going to pick Michigan to lose against Ohio State every single time they play Ohio State because they just can't beat them. Until they beat Ohio State, I am never picking Michigan to beat Ohio State ever. And it doesn't matter what their record is. I don't care if Ohio State is 1-6 when Michigan is playing them, and I don't care if Michigan is 7-0 or something. Michigan is still going to lose, and I'm going to pick Michigan. Yeah, the revenge tour. Like, and I thought Michigan was real. I really thought Michigan had a good shot of beating Ohio State, and I thought they were going to beat Ohio State. But they do what they normally do best. They go out and just get destroyed by Ohio State, then proceed to get destroyed in their bowl game by Florida, and it wasn't even close. And that Florida team, while they were pretty good enough to make a New Year's Six, of course, I don't think Florida was that good to begin with, like that good to the point where they destroyed Michigan. It was ridiculous. It was embarrassing. Anyways, I can go on and on. That's why I'm doing a live stream right now. So, yeah. Hopefully we get some more people to join because I could have a chat for a pretty long time. I just feel like let's look at any scores have changed since now. Okay, so Arizona and USC has now changed. You know what? Maybe I'm gonna like react to one of these games because why not? I'm bored. I've got nothing else to do right now. Um, so yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and just go on one of these games and see how they're doing. So let's go to CBS. Do they have any of these? They normally have a 3:30 game on right now. Hold up. Is Alabama playing today? Is Alabama? I don't think is Alabama playing? Cause they canceled a bunch of games, but like how many games did they cancel? So is Alabama currently playing? No, they are not playing. Wow, Alabama has had a bunch of their games canceled, and apparently they're not going to play until Kentucky, which is next week. So that's what 3 weeks without seeing Alabama play. Without Alabama destroying a team by 50 just doesn't feel right. They were scheduled to play LSU. Yeah. Um, I mean, oh my God, I don't even know what they were gonna do to LSU. Mind you, this is the same LSU team that got blown out by 37 by Auburn. Auburn, who gets owned every single year by Alabama. So if anybody actually thinks that LSU would have a chance against Bama, then we can discuss it right here. I'm kidding. There's only one person in this room, this live stream. So, but if you actually think that Alabama has a shot against LSU, no, just like no. Anyways, since they're not playing, um, I just don't know if there are that many like games because of all the canceled games that are going on. There have just been so many like boring and just it's just it's kind of different when there's a bunch of canceled games because there's a lot of good games. Yeah, okay, they did beat Bama last year, but that was a different Bama team and a different Auburn team. That Auburn team was actually good. This Auburn team is not good. And this Alabama team is much better than they were in 2019, mainly because Tua went down with an injury and Mac Jones wasn't as good as he is now. So, um that's just my um opinion on it. So, yeah, Auburn did beat Bama last year, but they're also like not as Auburn is not as good as last year, and Bama is much better than they are this year. And that's just it's just plain and simple. Auburn is much better than Bama is right now. There's a lot going on in my background, so I don't know if you can hear it, but a lot going on in my background. So yeah. Um Maryland looks decent with Talia after that absolutely horrible loss they had to Northwestern. They've turned it around since they beat Minnesota. They beat Penn State. They're doing pretty good, and I think Talia is only going to get better and better. And then of course, Tua's on the Dolphins, so of course I want Tua to have a great game. And I kind of wish that people would stop talking about the Justin Herbert and Tua thing because you've only seen them play like you've only seen them play a couple of games. Herbert's only played 7 games. Tua's only played 2 games. So we can't really make a comparison, even though Herbert does look like the best quarterback out of the draft. And yes, I think Herbert looks better than Joe Burrow. But Joe Burrow is doing pretty good considering he has a terrible O line. Yeah, I think that I don't know about Maryland making it close against Ohio State, but they probably would have made it a little bit closer than they normally do. And by normally do, I mean they usually just get like absolutely mollywopped by Ohio State, like by 50 points they normally lose. So it probably would have been, more competitive, if you know what I mean. So this will be interesting. I don't know if you can hear everything that's going on in the background. I don't think you guys can. Yeah, Herbert is really good. I think he's really good, but we can't really make this comparison about how Herbert's better than Tua, Herbert's better than Tua, all this nonsense. It's because they've only played 2 games. Tua looks really good. Tua had a very good game against the Cardinals and was the reason we won that game. But you can't really make this argument because Herbert's only played 7 games and Tua's only played 2, so you can't make the argument right now. Now, at the end of the season, then sure, but not right now. Anyways, still no good games on right now. I'm just hoping that like maybe this Arizona USC game is like more competitive than anything. Okay, you can't hear anything. Yeah, I can. I realize that. So that's good. Um, um. So let me turn this USC Arizona game on. So I mean, this wasn't supposed to be the USC Arizona play-by-play, but I mean, this will be an interesting game. So it looks like Arizona is down by 4 versus USC. And their quarterback just got sacked. So yeah, not doing great. Um, it'll just be interesting to see what goes down in this game. Let's check out on some of the other games. Any anything getting competitive? Wow, this Purdue Northwestern game maybe? Oh, it's on Big Ten Network. I hate when the games are on the Big Ten Network. It's basically like impossible to watch them. Um so yeah. Alright, so Arizona's gonna punt it away, USC's gonna field it, and they're gonna get about 10 yards. So yeah. So this'll be interesting to see. So yeah, I feel bad for Herbert and Burrow too. I'm not going to even be biased here. Tua was put in a better situation than Herbert and Burrow. Herbert's got no defense. Burrow's got no O-line and does not have a defense. Um, Tua has a decent O-line, but just not great.